Welcome back to the live stream. You know what I always say? The hardest job in America right now would have to be being a husband to a modern woman. And the second hardest job would have to be being a father to a modern teen daughter. We'll get back to that. This is about the charges against Patrick Beverley. I've been receiving people requesting that I do at least a short story about this because I do live in Texas also, and I understand what Mr. Beverley is probably going through. So we'll talk about it. But let's first listen to the charges on the news.
Well, a former Houston Rockets player is speaking out tonight after his arrest in Fort Bend County. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Daniela Guzman. Keith Garvin is off. Patrick Beverley was arrested at his home early this morning. He's charged with assault, family violence involving a household member. KPRC2 News reporter Corley Peel joining us now live about why Beverley's attorney says his arrest is a big misunderstanding.
Daniela, Patrick Beverley's attorney sent us a statement saying that he was defending his little sister at the time of that incident. Beverley is also cautioning the public about these allegations. Hours after bonding out of jail, Patrick Beverley posted on X saying, "Please don't believe everything you see on the internet. Hope all is well. Love." Fort Bend County deputies showed up to the former Rockets player's home before 4 a.m. Deputies say a situation transpired between family members, leading to a family violence incident. He was arrested and later made his $40,000 bond. Details about the crime are not clear.
According to Beverley, initially when he first was arrested, he came home and discovered that his teen, I believe it's his niece, that lives with him. And typically, a lot of times when you have a family member living with another family member, it's usually because the teen is troubled and she was kicked out of, they're kicked out of wherever they at. I was a teen that used to get in trouble a lot. I had to go live with my mom's sister when I was getting in trouble in LA doing stuff. So I had to move to Arizona to live with her for a few years. It happens. But I'm a boy. And my aunt could deal with me and my cousins, who are all boys also, differently than you would deal with a daughter. Patrick Beverley was known in the NBA as an enforcer. That means he's a man with size and strength, and he's not afraid to fight. You need somebody like him. The problem is a man like that will have a temper that can be triggered. Now, initially, to cover up what happened, he was saying that he came home and discovered his 15-year-old niece had snuck in an 18-year-old man. Now, anybody would say Patrick Beverley was well within his rights to go off on the 18-year-old man who's there with his underage niece. But Patrick Beverley was not telling the truth. And I don't know if he lied to his lawyer or if his lawyer just went ahead with whatever Beverley was telling him. The niece wrote her own statement, her own affidavit about what happened. And apparently there was no male there. She had snuck out and came home. When you look at the charges, he's only charged with assaulting her. There was no charges brought against an 18-year-old invisible man. So unfortunately, Beverley made that up. They were probably assuming she was out with this 18-year-old, but he wasn't in his house. The problem is when you have a man with the temper and you have a teen girl with a smart mouth, that is a horrible inflammatory combination, and it doesn't end well. Many fathers, many women, I have a lot of female friends, ex-girlfriends who are so much like their father that they don't speak for 10 or 20 years. Now, in 20 years from now, this 15-year-old will be 35, and you know what she's going to do? She'll probably go back to her Uncle Pat and say, you know what? You were right. You were disciplining me. Women will get into it with their fathers at 15, 16 years old. And guess what? After they have a kid out of wedlock and they go through hell, 10, 15 years later, they come back and they want to be a daddy's girl again because they realize your father was trying to protect you from the world. But discipline is going to be required. She is still a teen. Now, people are going to say, well, there's different levels of discipline. I'll be honest, it's a very fine line between discipline and abuse. And to protect someone does require a level of control. If I can't control you, I can't protect you. A lot of men no longer are marrying modern American women because we can't tell them what to do. They don't listen. So if you're not going to listen to me, how can I protect you? How is that my job as your man to protect you if you won't listen to me? So what I'm doing is I'm just opting out of not being your man anymore. And you're seeing this play out throughout American society. You know what's crazy? I'm doing another show later today. I was watching probably thousands of hours of body cam footage. It's like 95 to 98% police interacting with women. I see them, all types of women, old, young, beautiful, funny looking, all different types. I seen this video last night, gorgeous woman, and the police were trying to handle her with kid gloves. And what was she doing? Walking up to random people's houses, knocking on the door like a prowler, like she's some hot chick. I'm noticing a lot of men have just disconnected from women so much where we don't want to say anything to them because no matter what you do, it's the wrong thing. So now they're looking to the police for attention, and they're literally causing issues just so that a man in a uniform have to show up, grab her, put her in handcuffs, tell her what to do. It's a weird psychological thing. I'm noticing that when men back off, well, then who are these women going to argue and fight with? These types of interactions between family members, especially when you're a young person growing up and him being a male father figure, there is no right answer. Now, what they're saying is that he grabbed her and he punched her, and and I mean, I'll be honest with you. If he was triggered by something she said, when you're a man and you're paying bills and you're taking care of someone, you feel like you've earned a certain level of respect from them because I am doing for you. I am taking care of you. Now, that doesn't excuse him. It's not like he tried to, these aren't attempted murder charges. So we're not going to sit here and pretend that he tried to kill her or tried to hurt her really bad. But, discipline for older kids looks different than discipline for a 5-year-old. And yeah, she's 15 years old, but she has a 30-year-old mouth. They are going to say things to you the same way your wife would or your girlfriend. A lot of us have been in relationships that are tumultuous. I know I have. I've had girlfriends that would literally, they won't stop until they see that vein in your forehead pop out. And then maybe they'll stop. But sometimes these women want to see how far you'll go. Children do that too. We call it testing. You want to test to see how far you could push your dad before he slaps the shit out of you. Or, because grounding kids and putting them on punishment and taking their phone away, if they're still allowed to just say whatever they want to you, that's a problem, because we all have to work and earn just so that we can support those who are dependent upon us. Life isn't easy. Patrick Beverley right now, he's a podcaster that talks about sports, but he used to be a pro NBA player. That's a big fall from grace. There's a lot of stress when a man loses that type of income, that type of money, and now you're trying to work your way back. And if he's allowing one of his teen relatives, and the reason they're saying relative, because that means she's not his daughter. So she's technically not even his responsibility. I'm allowing you into my house. And now here you are spitting in the face of my authority, going against my rules. You're sneaking out, then you're sneaking back in. And I'm not supposed to say nothing to you, because if this is my house, if I don't discipline you, your father's not here. He's not the father, but you're at my house. So who is going to be in charge of disciplining this person or punishing her? Whose responsibility does that fall upon? Sounds like it would fall upon Patrick Beverley. But what do? He's not her father. What do you say? There's no playbook. There's no real right answer. And then what if she comes in and she winds up pregnant, or she winds up in jail, or any other situation? These are all playing out in his head. And if she's living with him, no matter what situation happens, it's going to be on him to come save her and bail her out. And, and financially, he's going to be responsible ultimately. But you got to think about it, knowing how these people play out nowadays, knowing how modern women and probably modern kids now, she's going to drag this for the rest of her life. She's going to say that she's not able to work. She's not able to go to school because she has nightmares of the time that he choked her and he grabbed her. And she's going to milk the hell out of this situation. So that's what the news is saying. There is an updated report about what happened with him that was on a sports show. So let's this is from 22 hours ago. So let's listen to this.
In the middle of the All right, so we've learned more details surrounding the arrest of former NBA player turned podcaster Patrick Beverley. So according to TMZ Sports, the ex-NBA player is accused of punching his sister in the eye and choking her for up to 30 seconds at a Texas home. Let's go into this because according to the probable cause affidavit, Beverly's sister told officials she left the home in the middle of the night without permission to see her boyfriend at a nearby park on November 14th. When she returned home, her mother, Lisa, was awake and told the daughter to call her boyfriend to tell her to come back and to pick her up. When the boyfriend got back to the house, he was told to go inside, and Lisa then called Patrick Beverley to come over to the house. Pat Bev then allegedly had words with his sister before he grabbed her by the neck with both hands and picked her up off the ground where her feet came up from the floor. His sister claims that Beverly's grabbing her by the neck made her feel as if that she was losing oxygen and unable to breathe, which lasted between 20 and 30 seconds. She also stated that Beverly took her out of the room by the neck and slammed her body against the walls of an open room area around the house, laid her on the sofa, stood on top of her, and punched her approximately one time on the left eye with a closed fist. Now, docs also state that the boyfriend was then told to leave the house and Beverly followed him. And when he returned, the sister claims that her boyfriend called the cops for help. Now, officials say that there were markings on the sister's neck and that she had tiny marks in the whites of her eyes. Beverly was then taken into custody and booked for felony assault in the Fort Bend County Jail.
I'll be honest with you. It sounds more so like Patrick Beverley's sister lost control of her daughter. There's no father around. And she called her brother to be that male figure. But it's at 15 years old, it's kind of too late. I'll be honest, by 13, 14 years old, your kid is who they are going to be. If you didn't discipline them when they were younger, then jumping on them as a 14, 15, or even jumping on a 16-year-old is not going to change their behavior, their personality, or mold them into who they are. They are who they're going to be by that age. The best you can do is kind of just mitigate the damage that they're going to come into. But your job is pre that point in their life. So it sounds like Patrick came in and he's probably been hearing stories from his sister about his niece. And he was like, I'm going to get her ass next time. You call me. And he did. And they had the boyfriend come back, kind of like setting them up. And I'm like, did the boyfriend know her uncle was fucking Pat Beverley? Because if he did, he should have never came back to that house. You should have never picked her up, especially if you're 18 years old and she's 15, you're at a park. We all know what kids at that age go to the park for, and it's not to stargaze. It's to do other stuff. So if they think she's over at the park getting high or getting frisky, that's going to infuriate a parent. And when she came in, Patrick Beverley probably said something to her. Knowing how these little girls are, I bet she was like, you're not my dad. Who the fuck are you talking to? And blah, blah, blah. And that just triggered him because he always was telling his sister, who was telling him about how smart, the smart mouth their daughter got, if she talked to him like that, what he would do. And he had to make good on it. That's just how it goes sometimes. And he roughed her up. I doubt that a man that size is punching her in the face because she would need reconstructive surgery if he did. It's not like he's a little guy or they're the same size. Dude's a giant. Dude, he's bigger than me. So if he hits you dead on, like he's trying to hurt you, you'll be hurt. So this is, again, discipline is going to be necessary, but it's kind of pointless when a kid is that old. And yeah, the boyfriend got out of there before Pat Beverley could jump on him, but the boyfriend's not his responsibility. He probably didn't even know how old the boyfriend was at the time, and the boyfriend doesn't live there. The daughter does. The boyfriend didn't disrespect the mom. The daughter did. So their issues are with the daughter, not with the boyfriend. And again, you're in between a rock and a hard place. You want to protect your family, but again, protection requires a form of control. And if the kids are out of control, then you can't protect them, which defeats the whole purpose. And if something happens to them, they're going to call you a failed parent. Your parenting failed, you know, and if this is his sister and he loves his sister and he watched his little niece grow up, because, I mean, you know, all of a sudden they go from being this sweet little girl to being a major asshole, then it's, you know, for some people, it's just something hard to accept that you have an asshole living with you. So, yeah, he went over there, he disciplined his niece, and now they're trying to call it abuse. But, I mean, it's a fine line. You know, if you don't train your kids, then the police will. That's how it works. You know, if you don't want to sit there and work with your kids or discipline them and train them and show them consequences for how the world is, then they won't be prepared for the world. We see a lot of issues with young black kids. Everyone has issues with young black kids in America. And it's because they're not, the parents don't care. They don't really have parents anymore. So when you do get a black parent that does care, any type of showing that you care by being on them or being rough on them, it's going to be considered abuse. Even if he didn't touch her, she could say he verbally abused me, he emotionally abused me, just because you tell them what they can't do. Just because you tell them they can't sneak out at night, they can't do this. You say no, they'll turn that into abuse as well. And if now you're famous, you got money, they can report you. There'll be somebody somewhere willing to do a story about you and shame you and embarrass you and try to get you to lose your job at Barstool Sports or whatever. That's why David Portnoy said he's not firing Pat Bev because of this, because parenting is not easy. Even if you're an extension of a parent, you know, if you're stepping up because another father stepped away and you as a man are stepping up, it's not easy raising someone else's kid or trying to discipline a relative that's younger that you're trying to help. It's not easy. Now with boys, we understand when a man says something, if I'm an asshole or I get smart with him, he can kick my ass. When I was a little boy, I'm as a grown man still scared of my dad. But he's a big ass dude. So there's something to be afraid of. But when it's a girl, you know, women are like, they can't do nothing to me. I'm a woman. I can say whatever. I don't know. It just depends on the guy. It depends on the guy. And again, those relationships break up. Women don't talk to their family for 15, 20 years sometime. And then they come back around, apologize because their new kid is at that age they were at and giving them hell. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. And that's why we should not judge people. But in this situation, we can pretty much, we can all admit, a lot of us have been in this situation before. We've seen how these kids go. If you're a man with a temper and you have a child that has a smart mouth, it's not going to go well. And you're going to end up in a situation like this. Hopefully she doesn't try to sue Patrick Beverley for pain and suffering and then continue to sue him for the next 20 years, saying that she can't work or perform in life because she can't sleep and she has all these emotional and mental problems. She might, though. She might want to check from him indefinitely. People do that. Hopefully he might just have to settle with her and then they don't speak for 10 years. But they're family. So eventually they're going to come back across each other. There's really no way to get around that. He probably did what he thought was best. Raising kids in the 2020s is very difficult. You know, there's really no right answer. So do me a favor. Let me know if you agree. Leave a comment, like and subscribe. I'll be back on with another live in about 20 minutes. And we got some other topics coming up for today. Thank you very much. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.